All right, what's going on, y'all, man? Colorado officially falls to Kansas. They pull off an upset, their third upset in a row, third ring to win, and they are sub 500 this year. But I mean, when you look at these games, you look at Kansas, right? A lot of games they were in, a lot of games they were playing well, just couldn't quite finish. Now you're seeing them finish games, man, beating really good teams. Obviously, beating Colorado, who I think is a pretty good team. Beating teams like Iowa State, and then also being BYU, who just took their second loss, which I'll talk about that. The ending was crazy. But big win for them, man. This guy right here, Neal, went off. Colorado had no answers. I thought offensively they struggled. Shador obviously had a good game, but he holds the ball too long, man. Respectfully, they need like easier plays. I think sometimes, he thins, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if it's not there throwing, use your legs, man. He used it a couple times today, but use your legs. And then y'all gonna see like the lack of a running game. We're gonna talk about that actually. So when we look at the numbers for Colorado, here's how it looks, right? Now, August Dave obviously went out in the game. That kind of hurt them. He's been kind of their rock as far as running the football. Leads them in rushing this year, 4 touchdowns, over like close to 400 yards rushing. And again, they're not gaudy numbers, but he knows how to get 5-6 yards consistently. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy because Shador took most of the carries for them. Dallin is not a bad back, but you know what it is. They really missed him in this game. And that's been kind of a struggle. Only 42 yards. Now, again, this is a pass-oriented offense, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you need some sort of balance because if not, rushers will tee off. I thought the offensive line, for the most part today, teed off. I thought they did pretty good for Colorado. Now, they got pressure late when it was in pass situations, but for the most part, they protected Shador. You know what I'm saying? Just the reads weren't there. They were covering pretty well. And it was making them hold and pat the ball. So, like, that was huge, them being able to do that. And that obviously disrupted the pattern and flow, man. But shout out to Travis Hunter, man. Another big game for him. 8 catches, 125 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Had a couple picks, but couldn't quite come down with them. The screenplay he had was magnificent. And then he beat the zone over the middle of the field, getting a big-time catch and getting them in. So, it was a very intriguing game as far as when it comes to that, but it's just they couldn't make the plays, and when it was their defense could never get a stop. Of the possessions for Kansas, they scored 7 possessions. They never punted in this game. So when your defense is playing like that, like you got to play near perfect football, and they simply just couldn't do it in this one. And when you look at the numbers, they had no answer from the run game. The run game was absolutely stellar for Kansas, so you expected it to be better, but they struggled a lot there. And as you guys can see right here talking about Kansas, look at Devin Neal. I said Ted Neal earlier, correct myself. Devin Neal, 287 total yards and 4 touchdowns. Literally had no answer. Like, I knew this game was in trouble when he got a third and 9 conversion. That simply just cannot happen. That's obviously passing down, but this team mainly ran the football. And they were running, different zone runs. They was running off counter, and they just didn't have an answer. Like, he was getting to the second level all game long, and they were not able to make any stops. They weren't able to get the penetration. Usually Nikhil Green and Simone Craig are usually pretty good. This game they struggled. They struggled mightily, and they couldn't get him or prevent him from getting to that second level, and it showed with his dominant performance by him. You could tell like Kansas just meant a little bit more, and obviously with some chippiness in this game. They was doing some late hits on Shador, and things after the whistle. You know what I'm saying? But you could tell it meant a lot for Kansas to come out here with a win. And I'm not going to go as far as some people will go, well, they play dirty. Like, I'm not going to say that. But I did see a couple late plays as well in this game. I will say that. But nonetheless, man, they won this fair and square. Kansas was the better team today. They had answers for everything that Colorado threw at them. And Colorado had no answers for them. And then when you look at it by the numbers, like I said, only 189 yards passing. Defense did their job as far as the pass defense. But here's with the big killer, 331 yards rushing in this game. Absolutely struggled there. And Neal had a day, 207 yards and 3 touchdowns. One thing I will say out of this class, this running back class for 2025 going into the NFL, hey, any NFL team, you should be happy. These guys can come in and contribute early. Devin Neal, Ashton Genty. Like, you got some really good backs coming out. I do want to make that point and say that as well. But just a dominant effort for him. And he was also their leading receiver. That's what I said. Neal did it all. It was the number 4 show. 4 catches, 80 yards, and a touchdown. They had no answers for him all game long. Whether it was out in the backfield, him running, he absolutely torched the defense all day. You know what I'm saying? I was seeing at one point, like, run cover 3. You know what I'm saying? Basically, put Shiloh up top, run cover 3 to one side, and leave Travis on the island. You know what I'm saying? But they couldn't. I would have been blitzing like the whole game, bringing my safety down. I'm going to play one single high. I'm going to load 9 in the box, and I'm going to make you beat me in another way. Like, make the quarterback beat me. Not saying Jalen Daniels can't. He's obviously a pretty good quarterback in the Big 12, but I would have took my chances there. At some point, you got to adjust and do something different because what they was doing wasn't working. And as you guys can see, the defensive coordinator had no answers. When he made that face, hey, he had no answers. In terms of the team stats, this is how it looked. Basically, they were, like I said, they were very efficient. 9 to 14 on third down. Like I said, couldn't get them off the field. 520 yards. Easily the worst game defensively for Colorado on this one. Still gained 300 yards on offense. But like I said, was inefficient in some spots. But the running game, as you guys can see here, 331 to 42, killed them there. And a lot of penalties for Colorado, 8. Usually when they're around that number, they usually don't, win the game. So they struggled there as well. And then look at the time of possession. They kept the ball out of Shedeur Sanders' hands because how explosive they are. 40-19. So that's going to be the formula. If you have a good running attack and you can keep them off the field, teams are going to try to emulate this and beat them. Next week, it'll be kind of the same thing. They're not having a good year, Oklahoma State, but they're going to want to do the same thing with Ollie Gordon. They're going to run the ball, limit your possessions, kind of keep him in that pocket, try to make him extend. And you know what I'm saying, and plaster those receivers, you know what I'm saying, essentially. Now, obviously, Colorado got to get healthy, but you like what you're seeing from your receivers for the most part in this one. Will Shepard had the drop touchdown. He's been pretty good this year. Draylon Miller shows he can give you a little something extra. As a true freshman, you have Travis, you know what I'm saying, obviously, but it starts with the running game for them, man. So, not a great effort. You know what I'm saying, for Colorado. Struggled a lot in this one. Defense just couldn't get enough stops. Offense couldn't get enough explosive plays. And you know what I'm saying, they started getting pressure late in the game, bringing more blitzes, bringing exotic blitzes and zone blitzes and pressures. So it's huge, man. So Colorado, they gotta beat Oklahoma State, and they gotta hope somebody else lose for them going forward. So that's my thoughts. That's my reaction, man. Kansas pulls off an upset, their third ranked win this year, making history. I think only team in FBS history to get 3 consecutive ranked wins when being sub 500. That's incredible, man. Shout out to Jalen Daniels. Shout out to Devin Neal. Shout out to the coaching staff because they was ready in this one and prepared, and it showed. And obviously Kansas is not playing like their record. If they close out some of them games, they're probably in that conversation for Big 12 championship. But shout out to the Jayhawks, man. Trying to clinch that bowl eligibility. You can tell that matters to them. One more game, they win, they're bowl eligible. So we'll find out, man. But Colorado, back to the drawing board. Got to win the game. Hopefully get some help.